This conference will now be recorded.
Surya, are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
I said, did you practice anything? Okay. So we have created the order type in our last class, and then we have created the order type dependent parameters. Okay. So we will see the other configuration, which is confirmation parameters, scheduling, production scheduling profile, and so on, if we can cover. So the path is SPRO. In the production, and then shop floor, and then master data. Under order, we have order types, order type dependent parameters. So let us see what we created in our last class. So we created ZPP1. Okay, so we will go ahead with this. Now we need to define the production scheduling profile. This is very important configuration because this has lot of information, lot of automation can be done using production scheduling profile, and this is part of your work scheduling view in the material master. So if I go to any material master and I go to the work scheduling view, this does not have, let me see, BMW 1 to 3. Yeah, 10. So if I go here, this configuration, what we will do now will come in the material master, the finished product. Okay, with this, a lot of automation is happening. So we will see what all information, what all settings we can do. Okay, and this has been also done, I guess so. ZPP1 is there. Okay, so I guess I have also covered this in our last class, but I'll just go through this quickly. So once you have created a production scheduling profile, you need to assign your order type here. Okay, this will be similar to our order type. Okay, and then on the creation of process order or a production order, do I want this to be automatically released? If I check yes, do you want us to print on the release when I release my order? Do I want any printing to happen? Yes, I can do the automatic goods receipt here, and we have the capacity planning, and we have, I'll check mark this, finite, and then we have the batch management also. When I cover batch management process, I will cover this part, how this will help us. And I'm assigning my order type here so that whenever I'm creating one order, automatically this particular order type will be picked up for the finished product. Okay, Next, we need to define the availability check. So if we don't define the availability check, what will happen when the components are not in the stock, the raw materials are not available in the quantity which we would want to be, okay? The availability check can stop the order, okay? That it says that you have a missing part list. Do you want to go ahead or not? So in the business scenario, okay, in the implementation, we can ask the business that do you want to stop your production if the raw materials are missing, or do you want to go ahead? So according to their needs, we can configure it. Okay. So by default, we have a couple of settings in our standard SAP. So we have daily requirements and we have individual requirements. So what is this? So individual requirements is the system will go ahead and check the requirements for building a material. B and C is required. It will check if the individual quantity is there or not. Okay. But if this B and C is also required for building material D, okay, so that means the daily requirement, how much B and C or material XYZ is required in how many finished products, so that daily requirement will be considered if I assign 0, 1. So mostly we assign individual requirements, so we will take 0, 2. Okay, it's already there, so there is nothing we can configure. So checking rule, okay. So in checking rule, again, we will be assigning our checking checking group, okay. So this is 0, 2. 1 minute. Okay. So in the third option, we have scope of availability check. All right. 1 minute. Okay. Sorry about that. So here we are talking about the individual requirements, right? So we will check this 0, 2 and checking rule 0, 1. Okay, I'll show you what do we have here. So if I take this combination of individual requirements and checking rule 1, I have different options where I can assign that what all stocks needs to be considered. Okay. If I have some safety stock, do I want to consider it? Do I have a stock in transfer, means like vendor is going to provide me, so that stock has to be considered. If something is in the quality stock, do I need to consider any block stock? So if my raw material is available in any of these stocks, do I want to consider? Depending on the business needs, we need to check mark this. Okay. And do I want to consider with the sales requirement? So this becomes the sales part. So even the sales order, when delivering or committing to the customer, okay, it will check, can I give the goods to the customer on time or not? So this part is for the sales. Okay, and this part is for the All right. So these all settings we can do in our availability check. So by standard, we have all the settings which are in place. We will use our standard settings. Now define checking control. Here we have to assign our order type for the plant ZPP1. Okay, we don't have, so we will have to create one. So I'll copy this. Okay, I'll put my ZPP1. I say availability check number 2. So during the release of the order, my availability check will be triggered in the backend and it will check if my raw materials are available or not. Okay, so checking rule will be our PP. And component check, we don't have anything. And this option is main. So release the material. So user decides on release if parts are missing. Okay. Release permitted despite missing parts. No release if parts are missing. So what does this mean? I'll tell you. So user decides. So that means someone who is working on the process order will decide if the release is allowed, even if you have the missing parts. So it totally depends upon the business requirement, that even if there is some shortage, they will go ahead with the production. Later on, they will fulfill the requirements and then they will issue to the order. Okay. Release permitted despite missing parts. So system will not ask for any permission. It will directly release even if there is any missing parts. And the third option says that no release if parts are missing. So that means if your components or raw materials are not in stock, system will stop your release. You cannot go ahead and do your production. So these three options are there. We are going to say that users will decide. So I will decide when I'm going to release the order. Okay, so PRT, this is production resource tool. All right, production resource tool. One minute.
Building the access card. वो लोग स्कूटी से तो बड़ा नहीं देते.
Okay, so PRT is production resource tool. So in production, if I need any tools, okay, as in I need a spanner, I need a screwdriver or anything, okay, so for that also there can be a check. That again depends upon business to business. Capacity availability check. Okay, so we say no check because we are not using the capacity planning. What is capacity? The capacity of production by machine or a labor. So a labor can work for 8 hours and we get a break for 1 hour, so total 9 hours. That we need to configure in the system, and system accordingly will see will a labor capacity is available or not. Is he occupied in some other orders, or if the machine is already occupied? So if system can give you an alert. Okay, so this is what availability check is. Let me know if you can't follow anything. Okay, so we need to save this. All right, so if you have done this 4 configurations by standard, you need to do this. All right, and if you are doing any custom, then you need to define all 3 and then you need to assign to your order type. So your availability check configuration is also done. Now coming to scheduling. What is scheduling? So in production orders, okay, during manufacturing, you take some time, okay, you wait for your raw materials, okay, you wait for some operations. Like if operation 1 is taking 50 minutes or 1 hour, then only you can start your second operation, right, in the manufacturing process. So if you give any time during creation of your routing, that can be considered using our scheduling parameters. If you don't put scheduling, the system will consider that you can finish everything in a day, okay, but in real time it can take you 2 days or 3 days, okay, or for car manufacturing it can take like 15 days also. So that's the main significance of scheduling. So you need to consider the scheduling part.
We'll specify some time now, sir.
Can you be a little loud?
We will specify some time, sir, before scheduling,
That's
before we
right.
opting for scheduling.
Correct. So these time, whatever we are talking about, will be defined in our routing, okay, and can be also defined into the floats. What is floats? I will tell you when I'm configuring that. Okay. So here we have ZRAK, which I created for a different student. I'll copy this, or you can copy any of the previous one and put our order type so that it can consider. So here what do we have? Okay, adjust basic dates, adjust dependent requirements to the operation date. So we have different options here. So why it's saying that adjust date? So for example, my raw material adjust dependent requirement is what? The requirement for your raw materials. Okay, so it says if your dependent requirement is taking 2 days, adjust your production dates also accordingly. Okay, and it says adjust basic dates, adjust dependent requirements to the order start date. So this will consider our operation dates from the routing, and this will consider our order start date. So for example, I'm starting any order today. Okay, it will consider from today how many days my raw materials will take, how much time do I have defined in my floats. Everything will be considered, and my dates will be designed that if I start today, when can I finish my order? System will calculate those times and give me a proposal. I can adjust that, or I can go with the system defined date. Okay, and if I don't want to adjust, then I'll say do not adjust. But most of the manufacturing companies, okay, or the clients, they want system to consider all the times. Okay, my raw material coming in time, my production time, okay, that in-house production time, we have to maintain that when creating material master. And then we need to consider our routing times, we need to consider our float times. Okay, so we have backward in time, current date, forward in time. So mostly we use backward, current date, and forward. Okay, what is backward? Backward means you give an end date. Okay, so system will give you the start date. Okay, so when do you want to start so that you end on the current date? So if you choose something that you want to end on 29th, so system will calculate and give you the start date, that you start on so and so date so that you can finish on 29th. And if I choose forward, okay, so forward means I give today's date, and then system will give me the end date, that okay, you started today so that you can end on so and so date. And if I give current date, so in the current date means system will take the current date of my SAP system and propose me the end date. Okay, if it is taking only one day, it will complete in the same day. All right, so this is the significance of this scheduling type. So in the interview they can ask you, what all scheduling type are you aware of? So you are aware of backward, you are aware of current, you are aware of forward. But in system, you have backward in time, current date, forward in time. Okay, this nobody asks. And you say automatic scheduling, so system will automatically do the scheduling for you. Like I said, dates. So here you don't have to worry anything. These are system defined. We don't have to set anything. Even these are not interview questions. This is interview questions. This is interview question. So this is saved. We need to save it. Create a transport. Okay. So sometimes we have to define the formulas. What are formulas? Formulas is right. Formulas is part. Sorry, go ahead.
What is my backward in time, sir?
Surya, your voice is breaking little. I'm able to hear you, but breaking.
Backward in time, sir.
Backward in times. Let me show you one. Okay. So if you press F1 on this, okay. All right, here it is not showing you that information. So backward in time is nothing but a backward scheduling, okay. But it will also consider our times with the dates. Okay, here we are only talking about the dates. So system will also consider our times, okay, with the scheduling. So I'll show you one production order where we have the timings also.
Okay.
Like, okay, in that date, when exactly do you want to start? 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, like that. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So scheduling type, we have this already. Okay. I just showed you same thing. And then we